Hello, and welcome to our radio drama presentation of Knives Out. Please note that this is a live performance and the cast has had no rehearsals together, so there might be occasional stumbles in the dialogue. We're expecting to have a lot of fun and hope you will too. And now, please enjoy Knives Out. Dawn breaks on the grounds of a New England manor. The building is unlit and still. Inside, a housekeeper quietly adds the finishing touch to a breakfast tray. A mug that says "My house, my rules, my coffee." She carries the tray through a ground floor, passing through rooms filled with Gothic era decorations, antique games, arcane puzzles, and decorative weapons. Stray champagne flutes and plates are scattered about the living room, and the library is filled with books bearing the name Harlan Thrombey on their spines. She makes her way to the second floor, where all the doors are closed, and steps lightly up a much narrower, creaky flight of stairs to a third floor suite.
Morning, Mr. Thrombey.
But the bed is empty, unslept in, a robe thrown across it. She walks out to the landing and kicks a panel on the wall, revealing a hidden door and an even narrower half flight of stairs, which leads to a single door.
Mr. Thrombey? Are you up there?
No answer.
Mr. Thrombey, I'm coming in.
The housekeeper enters a cramped attic study, every shelf crammed with curios. As the door swings open, she sees an elderly man slung across a white leather daybed, throat slit, drenched in blood. A knife on the floor below his limp hand, very much dead.
Shit!
1 week later, a woman in her late 20s wakes up in a plain, cramped bedroom. She goes downstairs to the kitchen of the tiny, cheap apartment building and sees her mother and sister having breakfast. Her sister, who is about her age, is watching CSI on a tablet.
Alice, turn that off, please.
Why? It's almost over.
Now, please, just turn it off.
Ugh, what? They're finding out who did it, and the Wi-Fi sucks in my room.
The newcomer sits at the kitchen table and slowly opens a laptop with tired eyes.
Turn it off now. Alice, off.
There isn't even anything bad on it. It's just normal TV and...
They're talking murder on it. Your sister just had a friend she loves slit his throat open, and she doesn't need to be hearing that right now. Let's be sensitive.
Alice, you can keep watching your show. It's fine.
No, I guessed who did it anyway. I'm sorry, Marta.
It's okay.
Alice picks up her tablet and hugs her sister as she exits the kitchen. As she goes, Marta's phone rings, and the name Walt Thrombey appears.
It's Harlan's son.
She answers.
Hi, Walt.
Hi, Marta. Well, would you mind coming to the house a bit early? The police have a few more questions for everybody.
What?
Later that morning, Marta's subcompact car drives down a narrow private road leading to the Thrombey estate. Several cars, including a police cruiser with a few uniformed officers, are parked near the entrance. As Marta goes out of her car, an officer approaches her.
Hey, excuse me? Ma'am, are you with the help?
A college age girl walks out of the house and shouts at the officer.
Hey, her name is Marta. She was Granddad's nurse. She's with us. The help?
It's okay. I'm sorry.
No, it's not okay. What the hell?
The two embrace warmly before walking toward the front door.
How are you doing?
Not very good. Alone. Lots of crying and not knowing what to do next.
Marta, anything you need, you're part of this family.
Thank you.
Another woman opens the front door as they approach. She's 60-ish, well put together, sharp and steely-eyed.
How you doing, kiddo?
Linda?
The two share a brief hug before continuing into the foyer.
How are you?
Uh, the funeral helped, I guess. Just seeing him. I thought you should have been there. I was outvoted.
Another man walks in, talking on his phone. He's the same age as Linda, gruff and confident, and looks like he'd put his feet up on anything.
All right? Don't come in. Fine. Get arrested. Die up your own ass for all I care.
Richard.
Richard hangs up his phone.
He's not coming. Ransom little shit. Missed a funeral.
A fresh-faced police officer pokes his head through a door.
Excuse me, we're ready for you now. We'd like to see you, one at a time.
All right, I'll go first. I'm assuming this will all be wrapped up before the memorial tonight.
We'll do our best, ma'am.
Linda exits with the officer, leaving Richard and Marta.
So, how you doing, kiddo?
The cop takes Linda into the library, where a second, more seasoned-looking officer is waiting. The large room is filled with mystery and horror books and memorabilia. At the center of the room is a circular display of knives. Linda sits in the chair in front of the display.
We're just going to reintroduce ourselves as a formality. I'm Detective Lieutenant Elliott, and this is Trooper Wagner. I'm going to record this just to make things easier.
He places his phone on the table between them and starts recording.
All right, we're with Linda Drysdale, the Thrombey, Harlan Thrombey's eldest daughter, discussing the events of the night of his demise 1 week ago, November 8th.
We're very sorry for your loss.
Thank you. That means a lot.
So we understand that night the family had gathered to celebrate your father's 85th birthday.
Yes.
How was it?
The party, pre my dad's death, it was great.
Did anyone besides the family show face?
Fran, the housekeeper, Marta, Harlan's nurse caregiver, good girl, hard worker. Families from Ecuador, and Wanetta, Greatnana, Harlan's mom.
His mom. Wow. How old is she?
We have no idea.
Okay. And your son Ransom. Did he attend as well?
Yes, but he left early.
Ding. Behind the officers, almost blending into the background, a man in a dark gray linen suit taps a high note on the library's piano.
Right. Would you say that all three of you showed up around the same time?
No. Richard came early to help the caterer set up.
Okay. And you and your husband Richard work for a real estate firm in Boston.
No, it's my company.
Right. Sorry.
I built my business from the ground up.
Ah, just like your father. You two were very close.
We had our own secret way of communicating. You had to find that with Dad. You had to find a game to play with him, and if you did that and played his rules.
Later, Richard sits in the chair Linda was in and gives his statement.
Everyone idolizes their dad, right?
I don't know. Do they?
Very much not. Don't know why I said that. But, my wife Linda does. Harlan started out with a rusty Smith Corona and built himself into one of the best-selling mystery writers of all time.
Wow. Seems like all his kids are self-made overachievers.
Sure.
Later, a man in his late 40s sits in the chair. He's softly obsequious in his sweater and loafers. He holds a cane in his left hand.
For the record, I'm speaking to Walt Thrombey, Harlan Thrombey's youngest son. So, you run your father's publishing company.
Yeah, it's the family's publishing company. Dad trusts me to run it. 30 languages, over 80 million copies sold. Real legacy. You guys fans?
I mean, I don't do much fiction reading myself.
Big fan. I'm a big fan. I mean, his plots are just like... I don't want to spoil it for you, but 1,000 knives? The cow and the shotgun? Like, where did he come up with that?
Dad said the plots just popped into his head fully formed. It was the easiest part for him.
Ding. The man in the gray suit taps the piano key again.
You're in the area, right? So you guys probably arrived around the same time?
We all got here about 8. My wife, Donna, she's my rock, and my son, Jacob, he's 16. Very politically active.
Earlier, during Richard's interview,
The boy's literally a Nazi.
and during Meg's.
He's an alt-right troll dipshit.
Back to Walt.
Kids today with the internet, it's amazing.
So the night went well.
I mean, we're all gutted, but I was happy to have that night with him. Be by his side, to think about our books and what we've accomplished with them. It's like I can still feel his hand on my shoulder, passing the torch.
Later, a striking woman, tall and boho chic in a chunky jewelry and flowery dress, has her turn in the chair.
So we're here with Joni Thrombey, Harlan Thrombey's daughter-in-law.
Mm. I was married to his son, Neil. We had one daughter, Meg, and then Neil passed on about 15 years ago.
And you remained close to the Thrombeys.
Oh, they're my family. I feel simultaneously freed by and supported by them. It's that balance of opposites that's the nugget of flam.
Sorry, the nugget of...
Flam?
Oh, yeah, Flam, your skincare company. Sorry.
I forgive you. Yeah, it's skincare, but it promotes a total lifestyle. Self-sufficiency with an acknowledgement of human need. That's Flam. But it's also Harlan. He got me and Meg through some tough times.
During Meg's interview,
Granddad gave my mom a yearly allowance, and he's never missed wiring a tuition payment to my schools. He's generally a selfless man.
But you left his party early.
Yeah, to see some friends at Smith.
Linda again.
Dad's paying for a crypto-Marxist post-deconstructional feminist poetry theory whatever major. She could have stuck around for the cake at least.
Joni.
I think Linda was upset, but Harlan understood.
Ding.
Right. You two showed up to the party around the same time?
If I could pause, just because who is that guy? And why are we doing all this again?
These are just some follow-up questions. Being thorough so we can figure out the manner of death.
Back to Walt.
So by manner of death, you mean if someone killed him? If one of us killed him? One of his family?
No, Walt.
Killed him? Is that what you're suggesting, Lieutenant?
No one is saying that, okay? This is all pro forma.
Richard again.
Okay, so, who the fuck is that?
Richard points at the man in the gray suit.
This is Benoit Blanc.
Benoit Blanc?
Yes, Mr. Blanc is a private investigator of great renown.
Joni in the chair.
Wait a minute. I read a tweet about a New Yorker article about you. The last of the gentleman sleuths. You solved that case with the tennis champ? You're famous.
Mr. Blanc is not with the police department and not officially involved in the case, but he's offered to consult. I happily obliged, and I can vouch for him.
Earlier, Linda.
Mr. Blanc, I know who you are. I read your profile in the New Yorker, and I found it delightful. I just buried my 85-year-old father who committed suicide. Why are you here?
I'm here at the behest of a client.
Who?
I cannot say, but let me assure you this. My presence here will be ornamental. You will find me a respectful, quiet, passive observer of the truth.
Elliott and Wagner turn nervously back to Linda. She doesn't look thrilled. Later with Richard.
Fine. Are we getting there?
Nearly. Harlan's nurse. She was at the party in a professional capacity.
Marta? I guess. Harlan hired her to be around to take care of whatever medical needs pop up, but really she's like part of the family. Good kid. Been a good friend to Harlan. Her family's from Paraguay? Linda really likes her work ethic. Immigrants. We get the job done. From Hamilton? Oh, Hamilton. So good. I saw it at the Public.
Earlier, when Linda was in the chair.
May I just, and then I'll recede, but as a self-made man myself, I have to express my admiration for how you followed in your father's footsteps.
Thank you.
Just marvelous. The whole family, too. Joni with her things, Walt with his publishing empire.
Well, Yes, I mean, Walt's he's done good with what Dad gave him. Not that it matters, but really, Dad hands him a book like twice a year, and Walt publishes it. It's just not the same.
But surely Walt runs the merchandising, adaptations, the film and television rights.
Are you baiting me, detective? You know he doesn't, and you think I'm dumb enough to be baited into talking about family business, talking family business into shit talking my baby brother in front of a police detective and a state trooper?
Walt doesn't run shit.
She might not be, but Richard is.
Because there are no TV and film rights. Harlan never allowed any adaptations of his books. Hated the idea.
No.
Yeah, drives Walt nuts. Cause that's where the real money is. When Walt would get a little Irish courage in him, he'd get into it with Harlan.
Did he get into it at the party?
Oh my god. You wouldn't leave him alone, poor guy. Harlan had to finally give him the hook. I didn't hear what he said, but he must have really handed him his lunch because Walt was like a wounded puppy for the rest of the night.
Walt's turn.
What? Richard said what? No, Jesus, we did not get into it.
I'm just trying to get an accurate impression. Harlan took you aside at the party, and when you returned, you were chastened. What did Harlan say to you?
Walt starts to open his mouth and hesitates as he recalls the previous night in his mind. He was drunk, and Harlan was guiding him away from the party.
The Netflix guys, her business affairs guy sent some over something, and it's hard numbers this time. And I just think this is a window that is not going to stay open. We need to take advantage of it. But then you need to look at these numbers.
Walt.
Dad, you put me in charge of our books. Let me be in charge. Let me do this, please.
They're not our books, son. They're my books. And this is not how I wanted to have this conversation, but you're right. You're right. It is unfair of me to keep you tethered to something that isn't yours to control.
What?
I've done you a grave disservice all these years. I've kept you from building something of your own that was yours. But you're not going to be running the publishing house anymore. You're free of it.
Dad, are you firing me?
No, We'll talk about details tomorrow. My mind's made up. Good boy.
In the present, only a moment has passed.
We talked. Shit. We had a business discussion about ebooks. Jesus, it was nothing. You want to talk about an argument? Hell, Ransom had an argument with them.
Ransom, that's Richard and Linda's son.
Look, we all love Ransom. He's a good kid. We love him.
But
But he's always been the black sheep of the family. And I'm not. I like to keep stuff like this in the family. But with Ransom, he's never had a job. And Dad, for some unknown reason, always supported him. They have this love-hate bond. They fight. But that night, God, they had a blowout.
about what?
We couldn't make it out really, but it was huge. And it was strange. They went in another room to do it. Usually like to stoke up drama in front of the whole family.
Richard tells him about something similar.
Speaking of getting into it, Richard, you were at the house early to help the caterer set up. Did you converse with Harlan at that time?
Well, he was there. I'm sure we spoke.
In his study, the downstairs one?
I don't think so.
You see, I spoke with the caterer this morning. She didn't see you helping out her staff. She did hear Harlan in a screaming match with someone that afternoon in his study.
I don't. A screaming match? No, but Joni was here too. She was early, so it might have been her. Maybe ask her.
These were two male voices. Harlan shouted the phrase, You tell her, or I will. Bell's ringing.
For just a split second, Richard mentally flashes back to the day of the party. Harlan is showing photos on a laptop of Richard kissing a woman who is not Linda. Richard glares at it, while Harlan turns an old baseball over in his hand.
That's none of your business, Harlan. You stay out of my marriage.
I know my daughter, and she would want to know. I put it all in this letter to her. Tomorrow she gets it.
Harlan holds up a pink envelope with an L written on the front.
Harlan, I'm warning you. You stay out of my marriage.
She deserves to know, and you're gonna tell her.
The hell I am!
You tell her, or I will.
In the present once more, Richard smiles.
Yes, yes. Harlan had decided to finally put his mom into a nursing home, and Linda had always opposed that, and I wanted to wait until we got back to Boston to tell her to avoid the whole scene, and Harlan wanted me to tell her then. That was it. Sorry, I forgot.
Joni in the chair.
The house?
Early, Richard said you were there.
I was at the house early.
To see Harlan?
To see Harlan, yes.
What were you seeing Harlan about?
It was just a mix-up with the payment for Meg's tuition.
I'm sorry to press. What kind of mix-up?
Joni flashes back to talking with Harlan in his downstairs study. Harlan at his desk toying with the same old baseball.
The school hasn't got the check yet. I don't know why Alan didn't mail it.
Well, Alan didn't mail it because he caught a discrepancy. Alan's office has been wiring tuition directly to the school, as per your request, but Phyllis's office, that handles your yearly allowance, has been wiring the tuition money directly to you as well. You have been double-dipping Meg's tuition and stealing from me. $100,000 a year for the past 4 years.
Harlan shows Joni a letter from his business manager with the transaction receipts attached.
Harlan, I don't know how this mix-up happened, but...
So now I am writing this tuition check, but you must know this is the last money you or Meg will get from me.
Please, you don't understand.
Joni, I know it'll hurt, but it's all for the best. My mind's made up.
In the present,
It was a money wiring issue with the office at the school, so I had to ask Harlan to cut a check for the semester. No big deal.
Why don't we just take a little break and we'll resume?
Joni stands up and exits before Lieutenant Elliott can finish.
She's gone.
Joni walks out to the foyer just as Linda comes down the stairs.
Joni, have you seen Richard?
No, I was just in with the...
Okay, thanks.
Linda quickly walks past Joni.
Damn it, Richard!
Richard, hiding in the study, waits for Linda's footsteps to fade, then uses the letter opener to break open a locked drawer in Harlan's desk. Inside it is the small pink envelope Harlan threatened him with. He rips it open and pulls out the letter card inside. It's blank.
Son of a bitch.
He spots Harlan's old baseball, grabs it, and spitefully chucks it out the open window. At the same time, Blanc, Elliott, and Wagner stroll down the wide lawn beside the house. Blanc ignites a long, thin cigar.
I might be a victim of my own expectation here, but when the great Benoit Blanc comes knocking at my door, I expect it's going to be about something, if not extraordinary, then at least interesting. But I'm sorry, this is an open and shut case of suicide. And quite frankly, Benny, we're getting to the point where I need to know what we're doing here.
Blanc notices the baseball lying in the grass and picks it up idly.
The method? Throat slit? Typical for a suicide?
I mean, that's dramatic, but look around. I mean, the guy practically lived in a clue board.
Inside, Marta sits down alone across from a portrait of Harlan and hears muffled voices out on the patio. She creeps over to the stained glass window and puts her ears to it.
You told me to invite all these people back for questioning all again. I don't get it. This is a pleasant family with the usual quarrels, but no possible motives for murder. Where are you going?
At that moment, Blanc's face appears right next to Martha's, staring at her through the distorted glass. She yelps and falls back. Blanc opens the glass door and Martha steps back sheepishly, but with a warm nod. Blanc beckons for her to join them.
Harlan Thrombey's nurse, Marta
Cabrera.
Cabrera.
Miss Cabrera,
Well-
you can just wait inside and we'll be with you real soon.
Miss Cabrera, I've been doing a little poking. You're hired on as a part-time nurse, on a part-time basis as a registered nurse, yes?
Yes, I don't work for the VNA. Harlan hired me directly.
And you're paid a flat rate for how many hours a week?
Um, well, I started at 15, and then he needed more help.
Medical help?
He needed a friend.
Does having a kind heart make you a good nurse?
All right, Blanc. I mean, this is.
Marta, we were just discussing possible motives in the family. I suspect that Harlan has told you much unfiltered truth about each of them, and a little bird has told me, how shall I put this delicately? You have a regurgitative reaction to mistruthing.
Who told you that?
Is it true?
Yes. It's something I've had since I was a kid. It's a physical thing that just the thought of lying, yeah, it makes me puke.
Really? Is Richard having an affair?
Martha is stunned. She recalls a sunny day on the patio where she read a book while Harlan worked on his laptop.
Why do men instinctively pull at loose threads on their parachutes?
What?
Harlan spins his laptop towards her. The Richard photos. Back in the present, Martha is visibly uneasy.
Richard?
Mm-hmm.
An affair?
A yes or no will do.
She shakes her head slightly.
No.
A second later, she reaches and retches and vomits into a nearby planter.
Oh, shit.
Whoa!
Oh, dear girl, I'm sorry. I assumed you were speaking figuratively.
Elliott quickly fetches a glass of water and Blanc offers her a handkerchief.
Take that. Quite something. But I was obviously right, Elliott. Richard is having an affair. His father-in-law found out and confronted him. You tell her, or I will.
Okay, but even if that were the case, protecting a relationship as a motive, that's weak sauce. You know that.
Well, then there is Joni.
Joni? Lifestyle guru Joni? No, Harlan was supporting her and her daughter. That's the opposite of a motive.
And if that support was threatened,
Martha tries to quickly slip back into the house.
Miss Cabrera, one moment, please.
Yeah, I just want to get some scope.
Miss Cabrera, was Harlan planning on cutting off Joni's allowance?
Martha recalls being shown the business letter with the receipts.
Oh my god.
Don't answer that if you're going to puke again.
Meg said he paid the school directly. Joni said he sent the money to her. Both were true. She was pocketing the double payment. Harlan found out and cut her off without a cent, yes?
So she bumps him off for the inheritance? Come on, have you seen her Insta? She's an influencer.
No. Allowance as a motive? Again, more weak sauce. I'm just dumping that bag of weak sauce on it.
Granted, but she lied to me. All three of them did.
3?
Walter.
Ah, I see where you're going with this.
Harlan had turned down Walter before regarding film rights, but something that night shook him. Now we look at the pattern. Harlan was cleaning house. I wonder, Marta, did he plan to fire Walter?
Can I wait inside? I really don't feel like I should be here.
Yes, please wait inside, but just Stay close.
She steps back in, grateful. Blanc looks at Elliott.
You have been very patient, my friend. And yes, you are right. None of these weak alibis and domestic squibbles answer your question, why is Benoit Blanc here? Well, now I will tell you why. I'm here because this morning someone dodged a very important question.
Ooh,
Me? Linda asked who hired me.
and who hired you?
I do not know. An envelope of cash arrived in my apartment yesterday with the news clipping of Thrombey's death.
An envelope? That worked?
Blanc indicates with his fingers, several inches thick.
An envelope of cash. So, someone suspects foul play, but goes through this hotshot dance of hiring me, of staying anonymous. Makes no damn sense. Compels me, though. Walk me through everyone's whereabouts at the time of death.
We know that the party ended at around 11:30. Marta took Harlan upstairs to give him his meds. The stairs leading up to Harlan's bedroom and his attic office creak horribly, and Linda's a light sleeper, so we know every time someone took the stairs that night. The first was when Joni heard a kathunk from somewhere above her in the house. She's concerned about Harlan, so she goes up to investigate, waking Linda. Harlan was in his attic office with Marta. He explained that they had just knocked over the Go board, the game with the grids and stones. They play it every night and he was fine. Go to bed. So she did. 10 minutes later, Linda is awoken a second time by Marta leaving. Walt was smoking a cigar on the porch with the sun. He saw her leave and drive off and noted the time, midnight. 15 minutes later, Linda is woken for the third and final time by someone coming down the stairs, Harlan, who came down for a midnight snack, which Walt tried to discourage. Based on this, the medical examiner determined the time of death between 12:15 and 2 a.m. As Walt was finishing his cigar around 12:30, Meg came home. She went straight to bed. Walt and Jacob turned in shortly after that. Sometime later that night, undetermined but possibly near 3 a.m., Meg woke up because the dogs were barking outside. She used the bathroom and went back to bed. And that's it. Everyone's stories matched, every moment accounted for.
And there is no other staircase up to Harlan's room.
None. Just the creaky one.
So we know that Ransom didn't do it because he wasn't there. Marta couldn't have. Harlan was alive when she left. Meg? Meg came during the window of the time of death.
Except it was a suicide, all right? Harlan slit his throat right through his carotid. We saw from the blood splat patterns that they were interrupted, meaning it's almost impossible for anyone to have been around him at the time. He's the one who cut his own throat. I don't know why we keep going on this.
Physical evidence can tell a clear story with a forked tongue.
What?
And as we've seen this morning, everyone can lie. Well, almost everyone.
Later that afternoon, Martha has her turn in the interview chair.
Miss Cabrera, we've kept you waiting all afternoon because I wanted to hear from you last. I needed an entire picture of the evening in my head, and your piece of it is at its very center. So please, take your time. You took Mr. Thrombey upstairs at 11:30 and left at midnight. Think very carefully and, with as much detail as possible, tell us what happened in that half hour.
A moment of silence. Blanc pulls out a silver dollar and flips it into the air. Martha does not say a word, but in that moment, while the coin hangs in the air, she recalls the night in question, beginning when she led Harlan up the non-creaky stairs to the second floor.
Up, 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 up. You got it?
I got it. Up, up, up. I got it.
Martha enters the room, and behind her we see Harlan keep climbing up the narrow, creaky stairs to his study.
Okay, that's
Up, I got it.
Hey, Harlan, hey!
There are no second thoughts. Get up here.
Harlan is already up the attic, setting up the go board. Martha grabs her med kit from the bedroom and follows him, exasperated.
No, I had champagne.
It's my birthday. You had one glass. We're not breaking tradition on my birthday.
Can you just take your goddamn medicine and go to bed?
If you're gonna put that vile shit in me, you will have to earn it on my birthday. 85th birthday.
Fine, Jesus.
I'm so old.
You really love drama, huh?
So old.
Okay, let's do this. 9 by 9. You ready?
I'll whip your ass.
Are you sure?
She places her med kit on the table, and they start clacking white and black stones on the board. They play fast, and Martha is obviously winning.
I know how this is going to end.
Why can't I beat you at this game?
Because I'm not playing to beat you. I'm playing to build a beautiful pattern.
That's elder abuse. I'm calling the AARP.
Don't make me get the belt. I will.
It's basically over. My only hope is that an earthquake will strike, but what are the chances?
Harlan starts shaking the table with his knee. He looks around, startles. Martha just stares at him, deadpan.
Uh-oh, get under a doorframe.
He tips the whole table, and the go board and med vials and syringe and med kit fall to the soft rug. Things spill out of the kit. A mess. Martha just shakes her head.
Such a bad loser you are. Meds, then bed. I'm done with you.
That's fair.
Martha cleans up the 2 vials of liquid and plastic wrapped hypodermic needles from the floor, while Harlan rolls up his sleeve, revealing a pre-inserted catheter. He crosses to close the room's only small window.
Ugh, Walt smoking a cigar on the porch. Nasty things.
How was tonight?
Tonight was, good.
Yeah? I know you weren't looking forward to it.
No, but I did it. I cut the line on all 4 of them. Wasn't easy. This goddamn fortune. You know, sometimes I think that everything I've given my family I've done, maybe without knowing it, maybe to keep them beneath me. I shouldn't have. I don't know. I should have encouraged Walt to write his own stories, not just be a caretaker of mine. Like you said I should.
Martha holds up the syringe to the catheter and slowly injects him with the liquid from one of the vials while he talks.
And then be a father, not just a provider for Joni, like you said. And I could have been kinder to Linda and Ransom. Jesus, Ransom, there is so much of me in that kid. Confident, stupid. I don't know. Protected. Like a game without consequence.
Harlan takes a carved ornamental dagger from the display mount and turns it over in his hands.
So you can't tell the difference between a stage prop and a real knife.
He stabs it into the desk, sharp and real.
You know, I don't fear death. But oh god, I'd like to fix some of this before I go. Close the book with a flourish. I guess we'll see.
I guess we will. Hey, you've had a long day. You want to do drugs?
She holds up the second file.
You mean the good stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, send me to La La Land.
Just a tiny bit, okay?
Why did I wait till my mid-80s to become a morphine user? What a schmuck. This stuff is the best.
Marta pulls out the needle from the second file, then sees the label. It says Cabrera. Black. She freezes and blinks at it, and then glances at the first dial. The label says morphine.
Oh my god.
Is there a problem?
This is what I just gave you 100 milligrams of. I messed up.
You gave me 100 milligrams of the good stuff. Excuse me, but what is the good stuff's dosage supposed to be?
Let's not call it that right now, okay? 3 milligrams.
Oh, that's much less. So what happens?
I'm going to give you an emergency shot of naloxone so you don't die in 10 minutes.
Oh, well, no pressure. You know, that's an interesting and efficient method of murder. I need to write that down.
He gets a little notebook and scribbles while Marta rechecks the medkit with increasing urgency.
So if someone switched the meds on purpose, I'd be dead in 10 minutes, like stone cold dead.
Yes, you'll feel symptoms in 5. Sweats, disorientation, and then yes, that big of a dose injected within 10, your brain and yes, 10 minutes.
Yeah, from the moment of injection. It's 8-ish now, and even if the victim called for an ambulance when he first felt the symptoms, and if he lived in a great big country home like we do, the ambulance would take at least 15 minutes to arrive. It would be too late. If the victim didn't have this emergency Nexa stuff.
He watches Marta, who is now digging around the carpet, looking under the couch. She dumps the entire contents of the kit and frantically goes through it.
Marta, do you have Nexa stuff?
Yes, I'm gonna find it. I have it because it comes with the kit. It should be here. It has to be. It's like it's not here, Harlan. I don't know why it's not here. So I'm gonna use the phone, okay, to call an ambulance.
She picks up the landline phone on the table and dials 911 with shaking hands. Before it can even ring, the line goes dead. She looks unbelieving. Harlan's finger is on the cradle. His eyes are locked with hers, serious and certain.
Harlan, what are you doing?
Marta, listen to me.
Harlan, I need to.
Stop this, stop this. Marta, there's no time. You have to listen.
I'm calling the family.
She runs for the door, but Harlan trips her and she hits the ground with a kathunk.
What are you doing? Are you nuts? We have to call the ambulance.
Listen to me.
He puts his hand down over her mouth.
Now, if what you said is true, I'm gone. There's no saving me. We have 6 minutes. We have got to get you out of this. Think of your mom.
My mom?
A knock on the door.
Get behind me. Don't make a noise.
Harlan? Marta? Everything all right?
Marta moves back to the room and turns her back to the door as she stops. Harlan, on the other hand, is focused and sharp as he answers the door.
Hi, Joni.
Hi, I thought I heard something. Is everything okay?
Oh, we're fine. I just knocked over the go board. Sorry about that.
Everyone's all right?
Yes, fine. Go to bed, Joni.
Okay. Maybe we can talk tomorrow about the thing with...
Tomorrow is fine.
Love you. Night.
Night.
As Harlan shuts the door, his expression goes from warm to serious once again. He puts his hands on Martha's shoulders and sits her down.
Pay attention now. Your mom is still undocumented, and if this is your fault, she'll be found out and at best deported, and your family will be broken. But we're not going to let that happen, are we? But you have to do exactly what I tell you. Will you do this, Marta? This last thing, for me, for your family.
What do you want me to do?
Downstairs as noisily as you can, and then say goodbye loudly. Call attention to the time if you can.
A few minutes later, Marta goes down the stairs, stomping on the steps as she goes.
Walt, I'm leaving. God, it's midnight already.
Drive out the gate, then to avoid the security cameras, pull off the road before the carved elephant.
Marta starts her car and begins driving.
Wait, was it before or after?
After the carved elephant.
No, he said before, was it?
After for the carved elephant.
Oh, shit.
She pulls off before the statue.
Park and come back up on foot up to the house. Take the side yard path through the little gate. The dogs will know you. They shouldn't bark. You've got to get up to the...
As she sneaks back onto the property, the dogs bound up to her, but make no noise.
You've got to get up to the 3rd floor without being seen, and the only way is to climb the side trellis and come in through the trick hall window.
You've got to be kidding me.
I am not. Do it.
Marta climbs the trellis. It's not easy going so far.
And for God's sakes, don't make any noise.
Until a piece of breaks loudly under her foot. She's able to keep her grip on the trellis, though. Inside the 3rd floor is what appears to be a dead-end hallway with a painting, but the wall swings away like a door, revealing a window behind it. Marta climbs her way in through it and steps lightly into Harlan's bedroom.
Once you're inside, now this is the tricky part.
This is the tricky part?
Get my robe and cap from my bedroom and put them on.
Harlan, this is crazy. I don't think I can do.
We need to make this so airtight your average cop will entirely dismiss you as a suspect. This seems crazy, but it'll work. Walt is smoking outside and he'll see you through the glazed window.
Martha does as she's told, and is seen by Walt, who thinks it's Harlan going for a midnight snack.
Dad, go to bed.
You were seen leaving, the security cameras show you driving off, and 20 minutes later I am seen alive and well by my son. You see, you've gone from suspect number 1 to an impossibility. Leave the way you came, and don't be seen.
Marta makes her escape and scales back down the trellis into the yard. When her feet touch the ground, she freezes. She's facing a darkened first floor window. It's wide open, and inside it, staring right at her, is Greatnana. They stare at each other for several long seconds.
Ransom, are you back again already?
Marta breathes and backs away, retreating down the lawn.
Drive home, and sometime in the next few days, the police will question you.
No, 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 I can't lie. You know I can't lie. I'll puke.
Then don't lie. Tell fragments of the truth in this exact order.
In the library once more, Blanc catches the coin. Lieutenant Elliott and the trooper Wagner look up at Marta, expectant. Only a brief moment has passed.
I took him upstairs. We played our nightly game of Go. At some point, he knocked the board over, and Joni came up to check on us. I gave him pain medication. He pulled his shoulder last week, and I left him in his study at midnight. I said goodbye to Walt and went home.
What medication did you give him?
Since his injury, I've been giving him 100 milligram IV push of Toradol. It's a non-narcotic analgesic, and to help him sleep, 3 milligrams of morphine.
And the family was aware of this?
Yes, of course.
Did you notice anything strange or off about his demeanor?
No.
Blanc holds Marta's gaze, and she holds it right back. Then he smiles.
Well, that sounds about right. Thank you, Miss Cabrera.
Marta walks calmly out of the library and into a small bathroom across the hall. She closes the door, locks it, turns on both the taps, and pukes into the toilet. That afternoon, Linda is tearfully reading some letters when Walt walks into the room.
Hey, sis, people are starting to get here for the memorial pretty soon. Are you all right?
I was just thinking about Dad's games. This all feels like one. Like something he'd write, not do. Keep waiting for the big reveal. Where it just all makes sense. Wouldn't that be nice?
The two embrace. Later, Marta attends the reception with the rest of the family and close friend. 20 or 30 people mill about the dark, tasteful cloak. A tearful Fran approaches Marta.
I don't think he killed himself. I really don't. There was this Hallmark movie called Deadly by Surprise with Danica McKellar, and in it she plays this wife who gets poisoned by her husband, but he's doing it little by little, so she doesn't know it. She goes crazy and she kills herself. And my cousin, who's the receptionist at the medical examiner's office, said that stuff totally happens. Just like, it's not even 3% as crazy as the stuff she's seen come through the...
As Fran's talking, Martha recalls the night of Harlan's party when she stood in the same spot and saw Harlan walking out with Ransom.
Oh, God. Yeah, you don't like him because you love him.
No, I don't like him. He's an asshole. But maybe an asshole's what we needed.
Oh, God, yeah, an asshole. An asshole's what Germany needed in 1930, whatever.
Oh, here we go, Joni. Those two things don't even conflate.
Marta stays on the outskirts of the family conversation. Fran walks by with some champagne flutes.
Oh, Jesus, I'm gonna disappear until the politics talk is done. Do you want some champers?
I can't. I'm technically working.
Meanwhile, the family bickering continues.
Take off your red cap, Richard, and look around you. The streets are literally flooded with Nazis.
No, no, no. We are losing our way of life and our culture. There are millions of Mexicans coming.
That's right.
Oh, God, really?
And don't make this a race thing. You always make this a race thing. I'd say the same thing if they were European immigrants.
Oh, yeah, so if the Swiss were, like, clogging in the streets.
We let them in and think they own.
They're putting children in cages. I mean, these are camps.
Come on, Joni. Nobody's saying that isn't bad. But parents have some blame here.
Oh, for what? For wanting a better life for their kids? Isn't that what America's...
For breaking the law. You're gonna hate hearing this, and I may have lost half my brain in a Wolverine attack, but it's true. America is for Americans. Where is Marta? Is she still here? Marta, come on over.
Oh, God, don't.
Marta, come on over. Marta, please come on over.
Marta is drawn over next to Richard, clearly uncomfortable.
Marta, your family came from Uruguay, but you did it, right? What I'm saying is they did it legally. She did it the right way. You work hard, you'll earn your share from the ground up, just like Dad, and just like the rest of us. And I'll bet you agree with me, right?
Oh, just leave the poor girl alone, Richard.
It's okay. I just want to hear what she has to say. It's okay, Marta. You can speak.
Oh, sweetheart, don't feel pressured to answer. This is just...
Look, if you want to become an American, there are legal ways to do it. But if you break the law, it doesn't matter how good your heart is. You gotta face the consequences.
At that moment, booming shouts begin behind the study door. A few seconds later, Ransom storms out of the study and out of the house. As the front door slams shut, Marta's flashback ends and Fran is still talking her ear off.
So I ask her, like, Tanya, what is wrong with people, literally?
Marta suddenly becomes woozy and braces herself against the wall.
Oh my God, Marta. What? Marta, what's the matter?
Whoa, hey, breathe. Marta, are you okay?
Marta nods yes and quickly corrects to no.
Hey, Fran, do you still have your stash?
They move to the drawing room where a fireplace is blazing. Above the fireplace is an ornate mantel clock. Fran uses the clock to unlock a tiny drawer hidden in its face, takes out a joint, and hands it to Meg.
Take them, whatever you need. They're just drying out since you gave me that vape.
Thanks, Fran.
Fran leaves them alone.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm very, very sorry.
Meg lights the joint.
Stop saying you're sorry, Jesus.
God, my heart won't stop. I can't. It's just everything.
Meg offers Marta the joint.
No, thank you. That's where Fran keeps her stash?
Who's gonna open a clock?
Back in the living room, Walt yells at an unresponsive but bored Greatnana.
Do you want dinner, Nana? Dinner. To eat? To eat?
Walt.
Nana?
Walt. She's fine. She ate the entire salmon spread already.
Meg enters and approaches her uncle.
Walt, did you tell Marta yet about what we talked about?
No, not yet. Is now a good time?
Yes, a very good time right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Calm down.
She takes Walt over to the drawing room.
Marta, we've been talking it over, and...
He sniffs and glances at Meg.
It's smoking grass.
No, come on.
All right. Marta, we've been talking it over, and the whole family, we would like to take care of you.
What does that mean?
We all think that you deserve something.
Financially, we'd like to help you out. You were never anything but good to Dad, and because of that, you can count on us.
Walt embraces her. Meg puts a hand on her back.
I thought you should have been at the funeral, by the way. I was outvoted.
Later, Marta walks into the porch to get some air. She takes a deep breath and then jumps when she realizes she's not alone. Benoit Blanc sits in a wicker chair in the dark, smoking a long, thin cigar.
Detective, you're still here?
Hmm.
Did you know Harlan?
He knew my father, who was a police detective years ago. My father respected Harlan. That says quite a lot.
Is that why you're here?
Here now, here? No. I stayed hoping to speak to you a little more. Something is afoot with this whole affair. I know it. I believe you know it too.
So you're gonna keep digging.
Harlan's detectives, they dig, they rifle and root. Truffle pigs. I anticipate the terminus of Gravity's Rainbow.
Gravity's Rainbow?
It's a novel.
Yeah, I know. I haven't read it though.
Neither have I. Nobody has. But I like the title. It describes the path of a projectile determined by natural law. Et voila, my method. I observe the facts without biases of head or heart. I determine the arc's path, stroll leisurely to its terminus, and the truth falls at my feet. The medical examiner was ready to rule this as a suicide, but Elliott agreed to keep it pending for 48 hours. Tomorrow morning, I search the grounds and the house, begin my investigation. I want you to be by my side for it.
What?
My confidant, my eyes and ears.
But, Detective, why me?
I trust your kind heart. Also, you were the only one who had nothing to gain from Harlan's death. So how about it, Watson?
Detective, if you want my insight into the family, none of them are murderers. That's my insight.
And yet, be it cruel or comforting, this machine unerringly arrives at the truth. That's what it does.
Always?
Tomorrow at 8.
Marta watches him go and soon leaves as well. When she gets home, her mom is on the couch watching TV. Marta joins her mother, and while her eyes are on the TV, her mind is back in Harlan's study on the night of the death.
I know I missed something. There's going to be something I missed, but I know you can beat it. Without losing your soul, you have to do what you have to do to beat this and win.
Harlan, I can't.
You can and you have to, for me, right now.
He shoos her out of the study and shuts the door. Marta stands frozen for a moment and then re-enters the room.
Harlan, I have to get you help.
Harlan is lying on the couch in the middle of the room. The ornate dagger that was stuck in the wall is now against his throat.
You do what I say, and everything will be just fine.
God, no.
I promise.
Please.
Before she can say anything else, Harlan slides the dagger across his throat. Blood sprays. Marta leaps back, hands to her mouth, and leaves the room. In the present, Marta holds her mother's hand as they watch TV together. Marta taps her foot nervously, not realize that on her white sneaker there's a single drop of blood. The next morning, Blanc, Marta, Elliott, and Wagner all meet in the all meet with the Thrombey's elderly security officer in the shack by the gate. The salty old man smiles as he shows off some old photos of the house stuck to a steel fridge with a big, brightly colored fruit magnet.
50 years I worked in this estate. You know, security back then was then such that you had to make the rounds with a 94 and keep your ears open. Now I got all this modern technology.
Nothing in the security room is newer than 1988. An 8-inch CRT monitor shows a phosphorescent live feed of the road outside the gate. And at the top, loaded VCR sits next to it.
That's the video there. I saved the tape from that night. Normally I race him with that magnetic degausser, but in this case I thought I'd just save it, you know? For security. That's the live feed there.
Martin notices the video feed and shows the carved elephant that marks the gardener's utility road and realizes that Harlan said,
To avoid the security cameras, pull off the road after the carved elephant.
Mr. Proofroc, can we see the actual tape?
Of course you can. I recorded at SSLP. There's 8 hours on that tape, 9 p.m. to 5 a.m.
He hands the tape to Marta, who loads it into the VCR. A grainy, smeared view of the road outside the gate is seen with the timestamp, 9:01 p.m.
It's like a Japanese horror movie.
You think we can scan forward on that?
Mr. Proofroc, how can we scan forward?
Just hold the play button down and press FF until you hear it grind.
She does, and the machine makes a faint noise as the timestamp accelerates.
All right, it should be coming up now to the time when the party ended.
The VCR pops open and releases a bit of smoke.
What happened?
Oh, you gotta keep holding it down or else it'll eject. That thing's eat tapes like popcorn.
Officers, do you think your guys can digitize this so we can scan it properly?
Yeah, I think we can do that.
Marta grabs the tape from the VCR.
I got it.
They walk out the gardener's path, which is lined with statues.
You know, all these statues that you see around here, they're all straight out of the series. The Menagerie Tragedy trilogy, pretty cool.
Benny, it's beautiful out here, but do you really think someone broke into the house to murder Harlan? Is that why we're out here?
Oh, it is unlikely, but if they did, there will be traces.
I can hang on to that tape, Marta.
Marta hands Wagner the VHS tape and discreetly pockets something else that was in her hand next to it. One of the bright fruit magnets from Proofroc's fridge.
Hey, Wagner, you got any luck with, what's his name?
Ransom?
Yeah.
Nah, did get an address though. 10 Canoke Street.
10 Canoke. Canoke. That's a pleasant thing to say, isn't it? Canoke. I awoke amid Canoke.
They make their way out of the woods and turn toward the garden gate. Marta walks a bit ahead of the others and notices that the ground near the gate is soft and bare. Her eyes go wide as she sees her footprints from the other night still clear on the ground.
All these leaves and mud, they're gonna do a number on my boots.
Mud. Has it rained in the past week? Oh, stay there! Okay, we got footprints here, so I wanna. Marta, stop!
Marta has already walked through the pedestrian gate and up onto the lawn, stepping in her pre existing prints. She turns back, playing dumb.
What?
Marta, stay there.
What?
Marta, stay there. Marta, no.
She walks back to them through the gate, stepping in her return prints.
I couldn't hear you. Did you call me?
All right, Wagner, we're gonna need to call the boys so they can get down here and take a look at at all these tracks. Get it taped off. Stay on that side.
At that moment, the Thrombey's two German shepherds come running down the lawn, further messing up the mud. One of them happily approaches Martha and lets her pet him.
Best judge of character is a dog. I found that to be true.
The dogs start barking and bolt towards the house, where Richard and Linda are pulling up in their luxury SUV.
They've got plans to read the will at around 10. The whole family will be here soon.
They all walk towards the house together.
I've never been to a will reading.
Oh, you'd think it'd be like a game show, but think of a community theater production of a tax return.
They approach the side of the house. Blanc does a meandering survey of the area.
So, what are we looking for?
Oh, you know, anything suspicious or out of the ordinary. You'll know it when you see it.
One of the dogs runs up to Martha with what first appears to be a large stick, but it turns out to be a piece of the white lattice trellis that broke off when she was climbing.
Sweet beans.
Marta looks up expecting to see Blanc staring at her, but he's not. He's come face to face with Greatnana, who is still sitting at the window, still staring out vacantly.
Well, good morning, Mrs. Thrombey.
While his back is turned, Marta throws the piece of broken wood as far as she can past the tree line.
Do you think you could handle the study, Marta?
In the attic study, the blood is only now a subtle dark stain. But other than that, the room has been left undisturbed from the night of the party. Marta and Wagner observe as Blanc paces the room.
Marta, where's your medical bag?
I don't know. I left it here. I always leave it with Harlan at night.
They must have taken it into evidence. I'll look into that.
Wagner goes downstairs as Blanc looks at the go board on the table.
Shit. How'd the go board get knocked over?
We were just goofing around. What are you thinking?
Blanc tips the go board over, and the sound it makes when it hits the carpet is nearly inaudible. He stares at it, but his concentration is broken by the sound of dogs barking outside. They go to the study's tiny window and look out. A dashing man in his early 30s climbs out of a vintage BMW. The dogs go nuts, biting at his pant leg.
No. Hey, stop.
Oh, let me guess.
The man kicks off the dogs and forces his way towards the house. Lieutenant Elliott and the officer, Wagner, step out onto the porch.
Hugh Drysdale?
Ransom. Call me Ransom. My middle name. Only the help call me Hugh.
Okay. This here is Troop Wagner, and I'm Lieutenant Elliott. We just want to ask a few questions.
He blows past them into the house. Marta and Blanc see Ransom as they descend the stairs onto the foyer.
Excuse me, sir. We're officers of the law.
Are you gonna run me in? I don't feel like talking. I'm distraught.
Hey, Benny, you want to ask this guy some questions?
All right, what is this? What's this arrangement?
Mr. Drysdale.
CSI KFC?
Ransom continues into the living room where the rest of the family is sitting or standing. Most of them look at their phone. As they wait for the will reading to begin, Ransom nods at Fran as she enters.
Hey, Franny, how about a glass of cold milk?
Hey, asshole, not her name, not her job.
Hey, Meg, how's the SJW degree coming?
Trust fund prick.
All right, guys.
A balding man walks in, followed by a woman who's carrying several attaché cases.
Hey, everyone. I'm Alan Stevens, Harlan's attorney. I'm just going to be in the other room setting up. Be ready in 10 minutes.
The two newcomers go into the library, leaving the family in a tense silence.
Hey, Ransom, you skipped the funeral, but you're here early for the will reading.
Okay, people grieve in different ways. Let's not.
You know, it's funny you're here at all. Why are you even bothering? That's what I'm asking myself.
What's that supposed to mean?
He knows what it's supposed to mean.
Walt, what?
Jacob was in the bathroom the night of the party.
Is that where you were all night?
What the hell were you doing in the bathroom all night? Nothing?
Swatting Syrian refugees?
I was not.
Alt-right troll?
Liberal snowflake?
I don't know what any of that means.
It means your son's a little creep.
Oh, my son's a creep.
Guys, just. Walt, he was in the bathroom.
He was in the bathroom.
Joylessly masturbating to pictures of dead deer.
Oh, you know what, Richard? You want to go?
You bet, Skippy, let's go!
You want to go? Come on.
They go at each other and do some half-hearted slap fighting before Linda and Joni break them apart.
We gotta do this more often.
Hey, Jacob. We get where this is going. You were in the bathroom next to Harlan's office, where he had the fight with Ransom. Now you heard something, spill it.
I just heard two things. My will, and then there was more yelling. And then I heard Ransom say, I'm warning you.
Ransom? What does that mean?
It means our father finally came to his senses and cut this worthless little brat out of his will. So I guess you're gonna have to sell the Beamer and give your notice at the country club and kick whatever fashion drugs you're on, because you think that after the bridges you've burned, after all the shit you've said, after everything you've put this family through for the last 10 years, that any of us are going to support you, that any of us are going to give you, like Dad liked to say, a single red dime. You're nuts!
Wow.
Son,
Father.
did Harlan tell you he was going to cut you out of the will?
Yup.
Well, then he's done what none of us are strong enough to do. Maybe this might finally make you grow up.
This might be the best thing that could have ever happened to you.
Thank you. My mother, ladies and gentlemen.
Look, this is not going to be easy for you, but it'll be good. Nothing good is ever easy.
Up your ass, Joni. You've cut your teeth in this family hit for a long time.
Up your ass? Oh, that's very nice.
Matter of fact, eat shit. How's that?
Others start chiming in as well. As they all shout, Ransom points at each of them.
Eat shit. Eat shit. You eat shit. You eat shit. You eat shit. Eat shit. Eat shit. Oh, definitely eat shit. Eat shit.
Blanc walks out of the front porch, touching the baseball bat to himself, and as the family enters a shouting match, Marta follows him.
What was that about will ratings being boring?
Exception that proves the rule.
Fran bursts out of the living room, muttering to herself.
Asshole.
She storms away. After a moment, Blanc frowns to himself.
I'm warning you. Ransom said, I'm warning you.
Well, you heard Ransom in there. That's the kind of things he says.
One of the dogs bounds up to Blanc and drops something at his feet with a clatter, then sniffs the baseball.
Ooh, you want this? You want this?
Blanc tosses the baseball across the yard. As the dog goes to fetch it, Blanc looks at what was initially in his mouth. It's a broken piece of the garden trellis.
Well, what do we have here?
He walks around the side of the house and spots the trellis.
This looks like a relatively fresh break. Yes, right there.
His eyes then float up to the window above the trellis.
Wait a minute. That doesn't make sense. Where's that window?
Inside, the screaming match is ongoing. Blanc and Marta walk up the stairs and are followed by Elliott and Wagner. Blanc looks down the dead-end hallway, but avoids the runner rug that goes down the middle of the narrow hall.
Show me, but stay off the carpet.
Marta delicately steps on the wood siding as she goes to the wall with the painting and swings it open, revealing a window.
It's the trick window from A Kill for All Seasons.
Trooper, here, will you take this?
Blanc drops down to his knees, produces a jeweler's loop from his jacket, and begins inspecting the carpet.
Traces of dried mud. I suspect they go the length of the hallway.
Footprints?
No, just traces.
Depending on when this thing was last cleaned, this could have happened at any time, right?
No, that would not explain this.
He motions to the base of the windowsill where there are obvious scuffs of dried mud. Marta winces.
Analyze this mud. It'll match with these traces. You will find similar samples leading up the trellis on the side of the house. On the night of the party, someone who did not want to be heard climbing those steps went to a great deal of trouble to break into Harlan Thrombey's rooms. The game is afoot, eh, Watson?
A few minutes later, everyone assembles in the library for the will reading.
Well, thank you all for getting together like this. It isn't legally necessary, but I thought because you're all in town and some of you are leaving soon.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to gently request that you all stay in town until the investigation is completed.
Well, he's gently requesting, and I'm going to have to make that an order. No one move until we figure this all out.
What?
Can we ask why? Has something changed?
No.
No, it hasn't changed, or no, we can't ask.
Mr. Stevens, you may continue.
Right. Well, the other reason I thought this gathering would be beneficial is because Harlan altered his will a week before he died. He sealed it. He asked me not to submit it to the courts for probate until after his death. So if anyone is confused about anything, we're all together, we can talk. Although I don't imagine that any of it is going to be that complicated. Harlan's assets included.
Alan's assistant points to a spot on a document.
The house.
The house, which he outright owned,
60 million.
yes, 60 million in various cash accounts and investments, and of course, the real asset, sole ownership of Blood Like Wine, his publishing company. He also wrote up a statement when he was making the changes, and he wanted that read first.
He unfolds a single sheet of paper.
Dearest Linda, Walter, and Joni, some of you may be surprised by the choice I've made here. No pleasure was taken in the exclusion, and its purpose was not to sow greater discord in the family, quite the opposite. Please accept it with grace and without bitterness, but do accept it. It's for the best, Dad.
Alan's assistant hands him an envelope and he removes another single sheet of paper. Even Alan blinks in surprise, double checking that there are no further documents and that the paper is in fact single sided.
Wow. Well, yeah, not too complex at all. This will be quick. I, Harlan Thrombey, being of sound mind and body, and yada yada yada, I hereby direct that all my assets, both liquid and otherwise, I leave in their entirety to Marta Cabrera. Cabrera. My entire ownership of Blood Like Wine Publishing, I leave in its entirety to Marta Cabrera. Copyright of its catalog, likewise, I leave in its entirety to Marta Cabrera.
Alan looks up from the page warily, understanding what's just happened.
What?
No, that's not.
No,
That can't be. Can I see that, please, Alan?
this can't be legal.
Here, it's right.
It's right.
Are there safeguards against this?
Alan, it's a mistake.
As the family clamors at Alan, Ransom starts laughing and walks out of the room.
Alan, you can take this piece of paper and shove it up your ass and get out. You cops two out.
Linda,
No, Richard. We have to talk. We need to fight this thing. We're not going anywhere. I said get out. We're the Thrombeys, goddammit, and this is still our house.
A beat of silence and realization. Then all eyes go to Alan. His assistant points at the bottom of line of the will.
Oh, sorry. Likewise, the house at 2 Dearborn Drive and all belongings therein I leave to Marta Cabrera.
Linda goes for Marta.
You little bitch. You little bitch. Did you know about this? Were you in on this from the beginning?
Linda,
No. I just want to know, what were you doing? Were you boinking my father? Boinking?
I think everybody just needs to cool their heads.
you had sex with my grandpa, you dirty anchor baby.
Whoa. Richard holds Linda back and the family starts yelling among themselves. Blanc takes the momentary distraction to look at Marta, who looks like a deer in headlights.
In the meantime, I'd maybe run.
He gently pushes her out the room and stands in the doorway, attempting to prevent anyone from following. But he isn't able to hold them for long. As Marta stumbles out of the house, the entirety of the family floods out after her, shouting reassurances and questions and accusations.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know why you guys. I'm also confused. I need to think.
Jacob records the scene of Marta being mobbed as she frantically gets into her car. But when she turns the key, it doesn't start. The others tap on the windows and continuing to attempt to talk to her. Honk. Marta turns and sees Ransom in his BMW waving, "Get in." With no other option, she pushes her out of the car, through the family and into Ransom's passenger seat. As he steps on the gas, he shouts back at the others,
I think this could be the best thing to happen to all of you.
and they're gone.
What does he mean by that?
Richard, why didn't you stop her?
What am I supposed to do? Grab the bumper with my teeth?
Blanc watches the BMW recede, his expression unreadable. Marta and Ransom tear down the private road away from the house. He's still laughing, and she's still shell-shocked. Slowly, his laughter eases up to a stop.
Okay, seriously though, what the hell?
At this point, we'll be taking a intermission here in the Twilight Zone. Welcome back. After escaping the newly bequeathed Cabrera property, Ransom drives Marta into town and stops at a small family restaurant. They sit at a booth in the corner of the restaurant in silence for a few minutes, until a waitress sets a bowl of sausage and beans on the table.
We'll take an extra bowl. Marta, you look like you're gonna pass out. Have you eaten anything today? Come on, eat.
Marta joylessly shovels food into her mouth, clearly starving.
This is a nightmare.
Mm-hmm. So, why?
Why?
Why? Hey, this is everything. There's gotta be a bigger reason why, and you know it.
Well, how about it had more to do with you guys than me?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the only thing that makes sense.
The waitress returns with an empty bowl.
Did he tell you anything?
Only that I wasn't getting a cent.
That's because he wanted you to build something from the ground up.
Something from the ground up, yeah. My mother built her business from the ground up with $1 million loan from my grandfather. My father owns none of it. She's made him sign a prenup. He lives in fear. I know that's what my grandfather wanted to protect me from by doing this. And I know I shouldn't say this out loud, but when he told me, Jesus, I could have killed him. After I left the party, though, I was driving. Nowhere, just in the night. And I got this clarity. Like, from here on out, I was going to have to fend for myself, and that felt good. The old bastard. Marta, I know 3 things. 1, I know he didn't commit suicide.
What makes you think that?
I don't think it, I know it. Because I knew my granddad. Maybe you and I were the only ones who knew him. So you're not gonna bullshit me on this, because 2, I know lying makes you puke, because that Mafia game last 4th of July. And 3, I know you just ate a full plate of baked beans and sausage, so...
Ransom slides the empty bowl the waitress brought in front of Marta.
Look me in the eye and tell me what happened to my grandfather.
You asshole.
Marta, tell me everything.
Marta puts her head in her hands. At the mansion, the dusk settles. The family paces about the library while Alan sits around, looking very tired.
Alan, there have to be options here.
No, I don't know how many times I can repeat the same 2 pieces of information. If Harlan was of sound mind when he made the changes, and we've all confirmed that he was.
I mean, would a sound mind do this? How? Sound how?
The very actions speak to unsoundness.
Not legally, no. You not liking what he did does not speak to his testamentary capacity.
What about undue influence?
Yeah, undue influence. How about that?
Did you just Google that?
Look, if Marta was manipulating Dad somehow, and if...
If somehow she had gotten her hooks into him.
You need a strong case for that. Your Honor, she endeared herself to him through hard work and good humor. That won't cut the salami. What about the Slayer rule?
All eyes turn to her. Her face is lit by her phone.
I did just Google that. The Slayer rule doesn't apply here, obviously.
Well, what the hell is the Slayer rule?
It's if someone is convicted of killing the person, they don't get their inheritance. Not even convicted, even if they're held responsible for their death in civil court.
Like OJ.
Yes, like OJ, but Harlan committed suicide.
All eyes turn to Blanc, who is sitting on the other side of the room, lost in thought.
Detective Blanc, you said the investigation is ongoing. You made a point of that. Do you suspect foul play?
Mr. Blanc, if you please. There is much that remains unclear, but yes, I suspect foul play.
Marta?
I have eliminated no suspects.
You're full of shit. I don't trust this guy in the tweed suit. And Alan, God bless you, but you're useless.
Thank you.
Alan takes that as an excuse to finally leave.
There's one answer to this. She can renounce the inheritance.
She knows it's what she should do. It's the right thing to do.
That's exactly what she should do.
Meg pulls Joni aside.
Mom, if Granddad wanted Marta to have everything, then that's what he wanted.
No, this was not him. He loved us. He wanted us taken care of. He wanted you to have an education. Meg, you think I can pay for your school?
Back at the restaurant, empty beer bottles are lined up in front of Ransom. He makes a slight smile.
Huh.
I know, just saying it, it sounds insane, but it's all true. And I think Blanc's been on to me from the start. I don't care if I go to jail, but my mom, my sister,
Ransom stares at a beer bottle, lost in thought.
You gonna say something?
I always thought I was the only one who could beat him at Go. Always thought that meant something.
Yeah, I know you did.
That night at the party, my last conversation with him, our last argument, that's what he told me about you. That you beat him at Go more than I do, and I thought, what a strange thing to tell me. I think I get it now. Maybe it did mean something. I'm not going to tell my family shit. You're not going to go to jail. That detective is not going to catch you, and you're not going to give up the money. This is what Granddad wanted for you. I mean, think about what he did to go through with this. He wanted this for himself. He wanted this for the family, and he wanted it for you. You've come this far. Let me help you go all the way.
What's going on? This isn't you. You could just turn me in right now and still get your cut of the inheritance. Why?
Because fuck my family. I can help you get away with this. And then, you're gonna give me my cut of the inheritance. Happy ending. Everybody wins. You, me, Harlan.
Yeah.
Deal?
Marta looks uncertain, but before she can respond, her phone rings. It displays Meg T. Marta glances at Ransom, who says nothing. She answers the phone.
Meg,
Marta. Oh, that was nuts.
I know.
Are you okay?
Yeah. You?
Yeah, I'm fine. Look, no one knows that I'm calling you. I want to say I'm sorry for how everyone was, and I guess I wanted to ask, what are you gonna do?
What do you mean?
Well, with the will, what are you gonna do?
What do you think I should do?
You should do what you think is right.
Mhm.
Look, I think you should give it back to us. Granddad always took care of us. We're his family, and I know he was like family to you, but we're his actual family.
Yeah.
Marta, you know this isn't fair. We've always been good to you. You're like family, and we'll take care of you. But you have to make things right. You know what's right. Marta, Mom's broke. She says I'm gonna have to drop out of school.
No, Meg. Listen, I won't let that happen. Whatever money you need, I'll give it to you. I'm here for you. And I want you to know I'm going to take care of you. I promise that, okay?
Thanks.
And once I.
Meg hangs up on Marta mid-sentence and lets her phone drop from her ear, tears in her eyes. She turns to her whole family gathered behind her, silent and expectant. In the restaurant, Marta puts her phone away, emotionless.
Okay then. Did Blanc find anything suspicious at the house?
Yeah, he found mud upstairs where I broke in through the window.
Shit. Identifiable, identifiable prints?
No.
Good. Okay, good. Hey, you lay low for a couple days, wait for this investigation to blow over, and it will. Because no matter how good this Blanc guy thinks he is, he's got nothing. Hey, relax.
Marta returns home and goes to sleep, but is woken up the next morning by a sharp rapping at her door. Her sister Alice opens the door frantically.
Marta, get your ass up. What the hell is happening? There's a guy here and a bunch of stuff. Everything's going crazy. Are we witch?
Maybe, Alice, I don't know.
Marta looks at her phone. 28 missed calls.
I don't even know what that means, but you better get your ass up, okay?
Marta stumbles down to the living room where her mother is watching the news.
We don't know much about Marta Cabrera or her exact relationship she had to Harlan Thrombey, beyond being his home nurse, and the Thrombey family has yet to release a statement.
Oh my god, Martha, what is all this? What did you do?
Is that here?
Oh, yeah, it is. Wait, so is this true? Are we rich?
Marta looks out the window and sees multiple news vans parked outside their apartment building.
Oh my god.
Back at the mansion, Blanc finds Greatnana looking out another window.
Good morning, Mrs. Thrombey.
Greatnana slowly blinks and holds her gaze at the lawn, but says nothing.
Why is grief the providence of youth? Uh, Oh, I don't know. But I'd imagine that age deepens all feelings, including grief. This was a long walk to offering condolences for the loss of your son, and asking you if it isn't presumptuous of me to not think too harshly of your family, if I am, as I suspect, the first to console you. They're young, aren't they?
Still no answer.
One thing I assume of age is weariness. Damned if I don't get more tired every day. Tired of what I do, following arcs like lobbed rocks, the inevitability of truth. But the complexity and gray lie not in the truth, but what you do with the truth once you have it. I think you have something you want to tell me. I think you're very perceptive and very capable of telling me what you saw the night of your son's party.
Silence.
But I'll happily wait. I'm in no rush. In fact, I find it quite pleasant sitting here with you.
He reclines, not particularly looking at her. Greatnana continues staring out the window, looking strangely peaceful. In the Cabrera apartment, Marta's mother scurries into the kitchen holding a stack of envelopes.
Lawyers were here. Very big lawyers, it looked like. They left all this stuff in business cards, and there was a pile of other stuff when I got home. I don't like any of this, Martha.
I don't like it either. I'm slipping out the back. I'll be back later. Please don't talk to anyone.
Marta walks out to a dimly lit hallway and is startled when she sees someone familiar waiting for her.
Walt?
Yeah, I came, Hey, how you doing?
Walt, I want you to know I didn't know about any of this.
We know you didn't. We know you didn't. Yeah, we all kind of went a little crazy yesterday.
Understandable. I haven't even looked at all this yet.
Marta flips through a few of the many envelopes her mother gave her.
Must be just local lawyers and accountants who saw the news and want to jump on it. I'd be careful with all of that.
One envelope sticks out. A blank plain leather-sized envelope. No postage, no return address.
Marta, is it your intention to renounce the inheritance?
This is what Harlan wanted.
Yeah, but Lealin wanted to put you in a very hard position here. It was unfair of him. I mean, you see the kind of press and scrutiny this kicks up, and we know with your mother.
My mother?
Yeah.
What did Meg tell you?
Oh, this isn't about. You're missing the point. We don't want to attack you with this, but Marta, if your mother came into this country illegally, criminally, and you come into this inheritance with the scrutiny that entails, I'm afraid that would come to light. And that's what we want to avoid here. We can protect you from that happening, or if it happens.
So you're saying even if it came to light, with the family's resources, you could help me fix it?
Yeah, yeah, with the right lawyers, not these local guys, but New York lawyers, DC lawyers. Oh, with enough resources put towards it, yes. Not that that even needs to come up, but yes.
Okay, good.
Okay?
Because Harlan gave me all your resources, so that means with my resources, I'll be able to fix it. So I guess I will find the right lawyers.
Marta, that's.
Marta quickly backs into her apartment again and shuts the door.
Better make sure that's what you want.
Inside, Marta dumps the legal envelopes onto the kitchen table and opens the blank one. Inside it is a sheet of paper roughly torn. It's a photocopy of a document with the header Office of the Chief Medical Examiner. Under that is a photocopy of a medical tag with her name on it. And the handwritten words, "I know what you did." As Marta stares at the paper, her phone buzzes. Caller ID, maybe B. Blanc. She hesitates, then sends it to voicemail, before driving to Ransom's single residence home at 10 Canuck Street and showing him the letter.
I don't know. What's this?
He points to the photocopy of the tag.
It's my medical bag tag. They have my medical bag for some reason.
Okay, but this is the photocopy of just the header of a blood toxicology report on Harlan. Marta, this is going to show the morphine overdose.
So I'm screwed. How do you know all this stuff?
I was Harlan's research assistant for a summer. But what kind of blackmail scheme is this? I mean, the actual evidence is sitting up the street at the crime lab. There's no demands, there's no meeting place. What's the point in sending you this?
Up the street, the medical examiner's building is a charred brick husk. Black smoke is still rising from it as at least the flames are put out by fire hoses. A car driven by Trooper Wagner pulls up. Blanc climbs out of the passenger seat and approaches Lieutenant Elliott, who is already speaking with a firefighter.
What's the cheese?
Oh, hey. 5 a.m. The security systems here are all triggered. Now this thing went up really quick. So that means blood stores, records, anything of that nature. It's all gone. There are no employees here, so thank God for that.
What about security cameras?
Elliott gestures wearily to the charred remains of a security camera on the smoking shell of an awning.
Speaking of security, the surveillance tape from the Thrombey estate was all scrambled for some reason.
What's still pending from the autopsy?
Just the report on the blood work.
Blood work.
Across the street, Marta and Ransom pull up in her car.
Holy shit. This is insane. I mean, who would blow up a whole real building just to blackmail me?
Marta, this means the blackmailer has the only paper copy of the thing that can prove your guilt. You didn't get any other instructions? No phone call, no email, nothing?
No. I haven't checked my email.
She swipes her phone open.
There is one.
She shows him an email from a burner account with the single line of text.
Yeah, that's it. 1209 Columbus Road, 10 a.m.
Marta looks at the clock on her dashboard. 9:32. Then at the charred building where Blanc is pacing about.
You know what this means, right? If you destroy that copy, you're totally in the clear.
Blanc sees them and starts walking towards the car.
Oh no.
Marta, did you hear me?
Yeah.
She throws the car in gear and floors it.
Elliott! We gotta go! We gotta go!
Marta drives as fast as her subcompact will go.
Okay, baby driver.
Oh god. You regret helping me yet?
I regret not taking the Beamer.
They hear sirens as cop cars appear in the rearview mirror, quickly gaining on them. Marta's phone buzzes, Blanc calling again. Ignore. Wagner drives the lead cop car with Elliott in the passenger seat and Blanc in the back.
Vehicles in pursuit in Washington Street?
No force. Make sure you say no force.
No force.
Repeat that. We've got a possible murder suspect.
I said that.
Their speedometer reads 85, while Marta's at 55.
Go, go, go! Are you flooring it?
I am literally flooring it.
Her phone rings. Blanc again. She looks over and sees Blanc himself in the cop car that is now alongside them. Blanc stares at Marta and holds his phone out the window, pointing to it.
Well, this is going well.
I'm pulling over.
If you miss your shot to get this tox report, it's all over.
Marta hits the brakes and her car screeches to a stop. The cop cars blaze by and start reversing course, but not before Marta pulls off onto a side street. The chase goes down into downtown, but Marta is able to lose her pursuers by taking a combination of alleyways and other narrow passages. Eventually, she pulls into a secluded backlot.
Oh my god. I'm just pure adrenaline right now. I feel like I swallowed bees. Okay, so what is it? What's the address?
1209 Columbus Road.
Okay, and I mean, whatever they want, I'll say yes, because
Anything.
just to get that report back.
Get it back and destroy it.
Destroy it. Holy shit, Ransom. Thank you. I couldn't do this without you.
Tap, tap, tap. A knock on the car window. Blanc. Elliott and Wagner step out of the car.
Get out.
Both Marta and Ransom comply and put their hands up.
That was the dumbest car chase of all time. Now put your hands down.
Marta, I spoke to Wanetta Thrombey, Greatnana. The night of the party, she saw someone climbing the trellis up to the 3rd floor.
Mr. Drysdale,
Let's go.
pat him down. Check him out.
Wagner finds nothing and leads Ransom to the cop car.
What's going on?
Ransom came back, she said. I don't know what he came back to do, but we'll find out. Did he ask you to drive when he saw me coming?
Yes.
Marta gets back in her car and pretends to take a sip from an empty soda cup, but actually spits up into it.
Blanc, coming with us?
I'll drive with Marta. Let's go to the police station. I want a full rundown of everything he said to you. I'll catch up with you on where we're at.
They begin driving.
Strange case from the start. A case with a hole in the middle of it. A donut. I'm just talking through my process here. Let me know if this is boring.
Marta grips the steering wheel tightly. Her eyes steal a glance at the clock. 9:56.
I feel the noose tightening. The family is truly desperate. Desperate motives, the mystery of who hired me, the impossibility of the crime, and yet a donut. One central piece. And if it reveals itself, the fog would lift, the arc would resolve, the slinky become unkinked.
Up ahead, a street sign, Columbus Road.
Do you mind if I stop for a second? I need to pick something up. It'll be very quick.
Oh, sure.
Marta takes the turn, leaving the cop caravan, and sees 1209, a vacant unit in a row of storefronts. She parks a few stores past it and gets out of her car.
I'll just be a few minutes.
I'll watch the door.
Marta walks into a bustling hair salon, passing through it and exiting out the back, then going 2 doors down to 1209. The interior is lit only by the painted over front windows and is empty other than a few old washing machines. It was likely a laundromat at some point.
Hello?
As she steps forward, her foot hits something on the dirty concrete floor. Her medical bag. She slowly kneels and picks it up. Next to the bag, she spots something else curious. The burned remnants of a piece of paper. Only a charred corner remains. As soon as she does, she sees a silhouette, backlit by the lighting coming through the windows. A person seated in a chair at the center of the room, silent, facing her. Marta slowly steps forward.
Listen, I don't know what you want. Whatever it is, we can work it out. But we have to figure it out right here, right now, and I'm leaving with that report.
A beat of silence. No response.
Hello?
She takes a step closer and uses her phone's flashlight, illuminating the ghostly face of Fran, the housekeeper. She's unconscious, and a spider is crawling across her face.
Fran?
A white envelope is in Fran's hand, resting on her lap. Marta opens it, but it's empty. Before she can do anything else, a grating draw of breath comes from Fran.
No, 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 Fran!
Marta lowers Fran to the floor as he gasps weakly, her eyes open now, wide.
Fran! Fran, can you hear me? Fran, give me a sign if you can hear me. Yes, it's me. It's Marta. You called me here. You sent me an email. That's why I'm here. Did you take something? I'm gonna call an ambulance now. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be fine, okay? Stay with me.
Marta notices something on the ground by Fran, a hypodermic needle and an empty vial with the label morphine.
Copy.
What?
Copy. Stashed.
What? What are you saying?
You did this. You won't get away with this.
Marta backs away in fear as Fran's eyes seize and her breath gets ragged. After a moment's pause, Marta shakes her head, grabs her medical bag, and dials 911 on her phone, putting it on speaker as she attempts to resuscitate Fran. Outside, Blanc sits in the car, listening to music.
The thought of you stays bright. Sometimes I stand in the middle of the floor, not going left.
He stops singing as he hears an ambulance siren pull up behind the car, and EMTs run into the abandoned storefront.
Not going. Oh, Lord.
Not too long after that, Marta and Blanc sit in the waiting room of a small hospital. Marta is looking at the floor while Blanc is on his phone, mostly listening.
All right, my friend. Thank you for the update. No need for that. I'll bring her in once we get word that the housekeeper is stable. It's still touch and go. All right.
He hangs up and looks at Marta.
Listen, this is over. People are getting hurt, so I'm just gonna tell you the truth.
Young Ransom just told Lieutenant Elliott everything.
Good. Wait, I hope he didn't cover for me. Did he tell you the real truth about me switching
Yeah.
and the disguise
Yes.
and the whole blackmailing?
Mm-hmm.
But why did Fran take my morphine? I mean, obviously she swiped my bag from the house, but she didn't seem like a user to me, unless that's why she needed the blackmail money. I don't know. It doesn't matter anyway. I have to tell the Thrombeys myself. I feel like I owe that to them.
Oh, I don't think that's a good idea.
No, I have to do it. I need to do it. I gave the doctors my number, so they'll call if anything changes with Fran.
All right, we'll round up the Thrombeys at the house, along with the police escort.
For the arrest after.
You can tell me your whole story on the drive over. I don't want any more surprises.
Marta drives with Blanc back to the mansion. When they arrive, all the family cars are there, along with 2 police cruisers.
Fran said it was stashed, the copy. And then she said, "You did this. You won't get away with it." And I called the ambulance. That's it.
All right. Are you ready?
Marta and Blanc enter the foyer. Richard, Walt, and Meg are there. Meg avoids eye contact with Marta.
Ah, okay. Well, has she come to her senses?
She's standing right there, Richard. She can speak for
Is the rest of the family here?
in the living room.
I think it would be better if we were together again to get this over with.
Blanc beckons and Richard and Walt file out, but Marta and Meg stay behind.
Hey,
Hey,
They embrace.
I'm so sorry I told them about your mom.
Mag, it's okay.
I'm sorry. I was scared. I didn't want to tell them.
I get it. Trust me. I understand. It's all right.
I'm sorry. God. I'm so reading Fran's stash after this.
Blanc returns to the foyer.
I still think this is a bad idea, but the family is assembled.
I know where the tox report is.
Marta takes Blanc to the drawing room and opens the mantel clock drawer. Inside it is a folded piece of paper with the medical examiner's seal. She gives it to Blanc.
She basically told me where it was. Anyway, this will tie everything up. And I just handed it to you. God, you're not much of a detective, are you?
Well, to be fair, you make a pretty lousy murderer. Perhaps we deserve each other.
They make their way to the living room, where the family is gathered, looking impatient. Linda is petting one of the dogs. Elliott and Trooper Wagner are there too with the third officer. Blanc is a few steps behind her. As she speaks, he unfolds and reads the tox report.
You've always been good to me. What I'm about to say isn't going to be easy, and you're going to be upset. But I thought after what you've gone through the last few days that you deserve to hear it from me. I
Excuse me!
Blanc strides past Marta, the folded tox report in his hand.
You have not been good to her. You have treated her like shit to steal back a fortune that you lost and she deserves. You're a pack of vultures at the feast, knives out, beaks bloody. Well, you're not getting bailed out. Not this time. Miss Cabrera has decided definitively not to renounce the inheritance.
What?
What?
Furthermore, it will be my professional recommendation to the local authorities that the manner of death in the case of Harlan Thrombey is ruled as suicide, and the case is closed.
Blanc?
What?
Thank you all for coming. Goodbye.
He firmly guides Marta out by the elbow.
That's not what I was expecting.
Is anybody else confused?
As the family looks at each other dumbfounded, Greatnana chuckles, and Linda finds something in the dog's mouth, the baseball. By this point, Blanc has steered Marta into the library.
Are you going to tell me what the hell is going on?
Yes,
I just want to come clean, okay? It's over.
almost.
Elliott and Wagner burst in.
Blanc, what the hell are we doing?
I'm sorry. Officer Wagner, keep the family out of this room. Get them out of the house if you can, but stand by with your additional officer.
Get the family out?
Yes, but not all of them.
Blanc whispers something to Wagner, who nods and exits.
Blanc, come on. What's all this drama?
Indulge me.
Blanc, I told Ransom, Ransom told you, and I'm telling you now, it is an immovable fact that I killed Harlan.
Yes, you did. Yes, he did. Yes, you are. But, I spoke in the car about the hole in the center of this donut. And what you and Harlan did that fateful night seems, at first glance, to fill that hole perfectly. A donut hole in a donut's hole. But we must look a little closer. And when we do, we see that the donut hole has a hole in its center. It is not a donut hole, but a smaller donut with its own hole, and our donut is not whole at all.
Blanc, look, I can understand why this is amusing for you.
Why was I hired? Why would someone hire me?
Someone fishing for a crime to reverse the will. Blanc, come on.
I was hired before the sealed will was read, so yes, the person must have known the contents of the will, but one step further, that same person must have known that a crime was committed, and further, if the intent was to reverse Marta's inheritance, they must have known that Marta was responsible. An intriguing combination of factors. Someone who knew what Marta did, wanted to expose it, but could not reveal how they knew.
Fran, she was blackmailing me. She knew what I did.
But Fran wanted money, ergo she did not want the crime exposed.
Well, did someone in the family see Marta doing something suspicious?
But they would have had no reason not to speak up.
He pulls 2 vials out of his jacket, places them on the coffee table, and sits down in the chair in front of the circular display of knives.
The answer is not so simple. Now, with the entire solution in my field of view, the arc of this case is a tragedy of errors. And Marta, it will not be easy for you to hear, but there is at least one truly guilty party behind it all. Guilty in the true sense of acting with malice and committing a heinous crime with selfish intent. Trooper Wagner.
Trooper Wagner did it?
No.
A moment later, Wagner leads Ransom in. Ransom looks at Marta sadly.
Marta, I'm so sorry. I told them everything. I figured it was all up. I'm sorry.
It's all right, Ransom. I'm glad you did.
Not exactly everything, though.
Is this about what Greatnana told you? She saw me that night. She mistook me for Ransom.
We'll get to that. In the meanwhile, Mr. Hugh Ransom Drysdale, you might tell us all why you hired me.
Why I hired you.
You're right, let's back up. To the night of the party, your argument with Harlan. What were the words overheard by the Nazi child masturbating in the bathroom? My will, and I'm warning you. You and Harlan were drama mamas. You shared a love of twisting a knife into one another. You see, I don't believe he would have slipped it in halfway. No. I submit. Harlan told you everything.
On the night of the party, in the office beside the bathroom, Ransom and Harlan face each other.
You can't be serious.
Not a red dime or a word of my work to a single one of them, you included.
Back in the present.
Marta, remind me what Ransom said his conversation with Harlan ended with.
Harlan told him I could beat him at Go.
And I asked myself, Marta, why would the topic of the will have steered around to Marta? There is one obvious explanation.
A week ago.
You can't be that crazy. You're not just gonna throw away your fortune.
No, I'm giving it to Mo.
To your Brazilian nurse. Are you goddamn insane?
I'm saying for the first time in my life, and I've done it. I've made the change to my will.
If you think I'm going to stand here and let this happen, I'm warning you.
In the present.
That is some heavy-duty conjecture.
Granted, but it is the only way what comes next makes sense. So you storm out, drive off into the night. You tell Marta later of, what was it, feeling an overwhelming sense of...
Clarity. That he has to make do for himself from here on out.
Exactly. Marta, the will, Harlan, do for yourself. You won't get away with this. And a plan forms. You return, careful to avoid the gate's security camera range, then up on foot toward the house. You sneak in up the trellis so as not to be seen by the rest of the family who are still having their party downstairs. You know what you need to do will take moments, but it is essential that you are alone and undetected. You knew what medications Harlan took. You knew what Marta would be injecting him with that night. And you knew if Marta was responsible for his death, even unintentionally, the Slayer rule would nullify the changed will and you would get your share back. You used the syringes in the kit to switch the liquids in the 2 medication vials. And as a final precaution, you took the naloxone, the life-saving antidote.
No, that's impossible.
That is the truth. Hand me that vial of morphine, I'll show you.
Marta goes to the vials, picks one up, and hands it to him.
If he did that, if the meds were switched, then when I got them mixed up, I accidentally switched them back, so I gave Harlan...
The correct doses. Yes, but not accidentally. I taped over the labels of these 2 vials.
Blanc holds up the vial he was just handed. It does indeed have white tape covering the label. The drug name and information is not visible on it, or the one Marta left behind.
The vials themselves are identical.
He removes the tape from the vial in his hand. Morphine.
How did you know this was the morphine?
I just knew.
You knew because there is the slightest, almost imperceptible differences of tincture and viscosity between the two liquids. You knew because you'd done it 100 times. You gave him the correct doses because you are a good nurse.
Then Harlan was.
I'm sorry, Marta, but yes, Harlan was perfectly fine. His blood was normal. The cause of death was truly, solely suicide. And you are guilty of nothing but some damage to the trellis and a few amateur theatrics. In fact, if Harlan had listened to you and called the ambulance, he would be alive today.
Damn.
A twisted web. And we are not finished untangling it. Not yet. Marta, when Greatnana spotted you climbing down the trellis, she said,
Ransom, are you back again already?
"Are you back again already? 'Cause earlier that night..."
Ransom, you're back?
Come on, Marta. This is stupid with 2 O's. You don't have a shred of evidence. You're just spinning a fairy tale.
Not a shred, no. Just as we have no real proof of Marta's mixing up the vials. So it's your word.
You have her confession.
Ah, right, yeah. Yeah, we do have that. With your permission, I'd like to spin a little further. Much later that night, you'd have to come back to the house to retrieve the incriminating tampered vials. However, this time the dogs were outside. They barked, waking Meg. No matter, you'll get the vials tomorrow. But tomorrow brings news, not of a medical error and a guilty nurse, but of a slit throat and a suicide. Now the circumstances are perfect for the anonymous hiring of me. You know a crime has been committed by Miss Cabrera. You need her to be caught for it. You cannot reveal how you know. Enter Benoit Blanc.
Elliott can't help but roll his eye.
Benny, look, I hear what you're saying, but
Shh. This is getting good.
The body is discovered early the next morning. The police, the medical examiners, the family, everyone swarms in, and there is no possible way you can get to Marta's medical bag to retrieve the vials. You must wait for your moment when the investigation is over and you know the house will be empty. And that is why you missed the funeral. There is no one home to wonder why you're going into Harlan's study, or so you think. Poor Fran. She witnessed you tampering with Harlan's medication in the medical bag. She did not know what you were doing, but she knew you were up to no good. And so her mind begins to turn.
Oh my god. That Hallmark movie she told me about with Danica McKellar.
Deadly by surprise.
That's what she was talking about.
She loved Harlan. She hates Ransom. So the poor girl decides to test her theory and make this asshole pay. She gets a copy of the toxicology report. Now, I will be honest, I have no idea how.
Because she has a cousin.
First time since they walked into the library, Blanc looks genuinely surprised.
She told me she has a cousin who works as a receptionist at the examiner's office.
Well, voila. The numbers, they mean nothing to her. But if Ransom is guilty, its existence is a threat. So she photocopies the header and makes her blackmail note, telling Ransom to meet her at 1209 Columbus Road early in the morning.
So why did she send it to me?
She didn't. She sent it to Ransom. And when Mr. Drysdale gets it, what is his reaction? Elation. He still thinks Marta has given Harlan the tampered drugs. A blood tox report will prove her guilt. He goes to the will reading in high spirits, ready to see the family tear itself apart, secure in the knowledge that it will all be undone when the tox report comes to light. And then, Marta's confession. And everything turns on its head. He now realizes that Marta has committed no crime, and the tox report will prove her innocence. The changed will is going to stand. He has lost. Unless...
Blanc turns and looks at Ransom in the eye.
Unless you decide.
Flashing back to the pep talk Ransom gave Marta at the restaurant.
You're not going to give up the money.
You're not going to give up the money.
You've come this far.
You've come this far. Just one step further, just one last act. In for a penny, in for a pound. You decide you are in. Step 1. Destroy all evidence of Marta's innocence. Last night, you burned down the medical examiner's office. Step 2. Send her the anonymous email with the late morning rendezvous time and deliver her the blackmail note. Step 3. Keep your appointment with Fran.
Earlier that morning at 8 a.m., Ransom walks into 1209 Columbus. Fran grins as she sees him.
Oh, I knew it. I knew you were a no-good son of a bitch. I knew Harlan wouldn't just kill himself.
Yes, Fran, you were right.
I knew you were guilty as shit. And now you're gonna pay for it.
Ransom strides confidently towards Fran.
Don't you come near me. Don't come near me. I'm warning you.
But he is upon her, hand over her mouth, stifling her scream with a chloroform rag. When she's unconscious, he retrieves the still full vial of morphine from the medical bag. He fills a syringe with it and injects Fran. He places her inert body in the chair, finds the envelope with the tox report in her pocket, and takes the report. But leaves the empty envelope in her hands. On his way out, he lights the tox report on fire and drops it, burning, next to Marta's medical bag.
See, now the board is set. Marta will get the blackmail note. You'll put the pieces together for her. You'll guide her to the rendezvous. You'll make the anonymous call to the police. They will catch her there with the body and the burned evidence. Marta will be arrested for killing Fran and Harlan.
She said...
Marta recalls Fran on the floor.
You did this.
She didn't say you did this. She wasn't talking about me. She said...
You did this.
Hugh did this. 'Cause you made the help call you Hugh. 'Cause you're an asshole.
And it would have worked if we hadn't brought you in for questioning so you could not make your anonymous call. And if Fran had not stashed a safety copy of the tox report. And if Marta had not outplayed you once again. By having a kind heart. By saving Fran's life. Though it meant her losing the inheritance and going to jail, she didn't play your game. She saved Fran's life.
Fran's alive?
Marta's phone starts to ring. The caller ID says Clifton Hospital.
Oh yes, Fran, who will confirm this fairy story, or something close to it, and send you, Hugh, to jail.
Marta answers the phone and turns away from everyone.
Yes?
A long beat. Then her face breaks in relief.
Doctor, that's great news. We'll be there soon. Thank you.
She hangs up and turns towards everyone again, smiling.
She's okay. She's ready to talk.
Ransom stares at Marta, his face a mask.
Trooper Wagner, if you would keep Mr. Drysdale in custody while Lieutenant Elliott, Miss Cabrera, and myself go to the hospital to take Fran's statement.
All right, up. Come on.
Ransom stands and his poker face breaks. He grins and steps towards Marta.
I'm going to say this just to you. No cameras, no courtroom, just to you, because you know it's true. We allowed you into our home. We let you watch our granddad, we welcomed you into our family, and now you think you can steal it from us? You think I'm not going to fight to protect my home? Our birthright? Our ancestral family home?
That is hooey. Harlan, he bought this place in the 80s from a Pakistani real estate billionaire.
Oh, shut up, Blanc! Shut up! Shut up! With that Kentucky Fried Foghorn-Leghorn drawl! Yeah, I killed Fran, but I guess I didn't. So what do you have on me? Nothing. What? Attempted murder? I got arson for the building and a few other charges, but with a good lawyer, which I have, I'll be out in no time.
He turns towards Marta, who stands strong.
And then you'll see just how much hell I can wreak on your life, you vicious little bitch.
But then, Marta's expression changes slightly. She looks uneasy. A slight gurgling is heard. A half second later, Marta projectile vomits onto Ransom's face.
Oh! What the shit? That means she was lying!
Yeah, man. We know.
That's right. Fran's dead. And you just confessed to her murder.
Wagner holds out his phone, which has, as it has for every conversation that has taken place in the library, been recorded. Ransom takes this in, then he smiles.
Well, in for a penny.
In one fluid motion, he moves to the circulated display of knives, grabs one, and tackles Marta. Blanc and Elliott lunge to stop him, but it's too late. Ransom and Marta fall together, and as they hit the ground, his arm comes down, plunging the knife to hilt into her chest. They lie still, breathing hard. Her eyes wide open with pain and horror, his cold and wild. But then she blinks, squints. Ransom furrows his eyebrows and pulls back on the knife. A soft squeaking noise is heard as the blade emerges from the hilt. Not Marta's chest. It's a theatrical prop.
Shit.
Ransom is tackled by Trooper Wagner, leaving Marta lying on her back. She holds the knife and stares up at the ceiling, still in shock from what just happened. A little bit later, Linda walks into Harlan's office downstairs with his baseball and places it on his desk. As she does, she notices a pink envelope on the desk. She picks it up, sees it's empty, and then sees the blank note beside it. She picks it up and smiles knowingly. Outside, Ransom is walked out of the house and towards the cop car, while the rest of the family reacts in their own ways. Jacob is on his phone. Donna looks at the Ransom in disbelief. Walt averts his eyes from his nephew and stares sadly at the ground. Joni looks into the sky, completely dazed. Meg talks with Lieutenant Elliott and puts her hand to her mouth as she learns about Fran. Richard approaches the officers escorting Ransom, yelling and pointing at them aggressively. Meanwhile, Linda steps out the front door, strangely disconnected. With a smirk, she puts a cigarette in her mouth. But before using her lighter on it, she uses the flame to warm the blank note from the office. After a moment, the gold ink starts to appear on the paper. A note from her father, their secret way of communicating. As Linda reads it, her smile vanishes.
Linda! Linda! We gotta get the attorneys on the phone right now.
Richard goes silent as he sees Linda's expression and the letter in her hand. Inside, Marta sits in the living room with a blanket over her shoulders, talking with Blanc.
Can I ask, when did you know I had something to do with Harlan's death?
Oh, from the first moment you set foot in front of me.
Taps her shoe with his own, pointing out the tiny spot of blood.
Oh, shit.
I want you to remember something that's very important. You won not by playing the game Harlan's way, but yours. You're a good person.
He stands and begins to leave.
This family, I should help them, right?
Well, I have my opinion, but I have a feeling you'll follow your heart.
With that, Benoit Blanc turns and strolls away. Marta shuffles upstairs and steps into the balcony as Ransom is about to be loaded into the police cruiser. They share a glance, and she gives him a slight nod. As Ransom is driven away, Richard, now sporting a black eye, glances up and sees Marta on the balcony. Walt follows Richard's gaze, Joni follows his, and one by one the Thrombeys turn until all of them are looking up at Marta, who calmly sips from the mug that says, "My house, my rule, my coffee." Thank you so much for listening to our radio drama presentation of Knives Out. Benoit Blanc was played by Joel Guttman. Marta Cabrera was played by Reach's Best. Harlan Thrombey was played by Hayes Converse. Ransom Thrombey was played by Cam Griffin. Walter Thrombey and Mr. Proofroc were played by Darren Kimsley. Lieutenant Elliott, Mrs. Cabrera, and Greatnana were played by Celeste English. Richard Drysdale, Trooper Wagner, news anchor, and Jacob Thrombey were played by Danny Hill, Danny Hill, Linda Drysdale, Meg Thrombey, Alice Cabrera, Donna Thrombey, Cop, Sally, Queen of the Law Staff, were played by Mary Rivette. Joni Thrombey, Alan Stevens, and Fran were played by Abby Brenner. Narration was done by me, Lealin Queen. I was here the whole time. Audio engineering was provided by John H. Baker. Script adaptation was done by Joel Guttman. We are pleased to announce that on Saturday, September 24th, we will be doing a radio drama presentation of The Legend of Vox Machina, episodes 7 to 12. The performance will begin at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. For more nerdy content, please follow Digital Era Entertainment here on Twitch. And you can listen to our past radio drama performances on Digital Era Twitch Entertainment's YouTube channel. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope you'll join us again next time.
Pizza time!
Goodbye.
Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us across social media for updates. Thanks for watching!